years. That's how long my boyfriend and I had been together. And one afternoon, at a family barbecue, he laughed and said something that made me realize exactly what I meant to him. His cousin Matt asked him casually, "So, when are you two finally getting married?" My boyfriend, Daniel, laughed and said, "Why would I buy the cow when I'm already getting the milk for free?" Everyone burst out laughing. His uncle slapped him on the back. His dad chuckled. Even his mom smiled like it was the funniest thing she'd heard all day. To them, it was just a joke. But to me, it felt like someone had dropped a brick in my stomach. 6 years together. We shared an apartment in Denver. We had a golden retriever named Charlie. We even had a joint savings account for the house we said we'd buy someday. But apparently, to Daniel, I was just free milk. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying every conversation we'd ever had about marriage. Every time I'd hinted about it, he'd laughed it off or changed the subject. By morning, I had made a decision. If he thought he was getting everything for free, then the dairy was officially closed. I started small. I stopped doing his laundry. Daniel was used to clean shirts magically appearing in his closet every Monday morning. That week, they didn't. He looked around the bedroom and asked, "Hey, where are my work shirts?" I shrugged. "I don't know. Where did you leave them?" He looked confused. "But you always do the laundry." I looked at him calmly and said, "Why would I do your laundry? We're not married." Next, I stopped cooking for him. Daniel loved my cooking, especially my Sunday pasta that took almost 3 hours to make. But that Sunday, I made myself a grilled cheese sandwich and watched Netflix. He walked into the kitchen and looked around. "Where's dinner?" "I already ate," I said. "For yourself?" Roommates cook for themselves. Married couples cook for each other. Within 2 weeks, things started falling apart for him. He was eating takeout every night, wearing wrinkled shirts to work. His coworkers even started asking if everything was okay. But I wasn't done yet. The next change was the bills. Instead of splitting everything 50-50, I decided we should each pay for what we actually used. Daniel played video games for hours every night, so more electricity, his portion. He took long hot showers while I took 5-minute ones, so the water bill mostly his. I even started tracking smaller things: coffee pods, paper towels, soap. At the end of the month, I handed him a detailed bill, $915. He stared at it like I had lost my mind. "This is insane," he said. "No," I replied calmly, "it's practical. We're just roommates who happen to sleep together sometimes, right?" That's when Daniel started panicking. Suddenly, he was bringing me flowers, taking me out to fancy dinners, trying harder than he had in years. But what he didn't know was that I had already learned something else. One day, his friend Ethan ran into me and mentioned something interesting. Daniel had been looking at engagement rings for months. He had saved around $8,000, and he was planning to propose on my birthday, which meant something even worse. He was planning to marry me. He just humiliated me in front of his entire family for a cheap laugh, and that was the real problem. Finally, my birthday arrived. Daniel took me to a beautiful Italian restaurant downtown. After dinner, he suddenly stood up and got down on one knee. The entire restaurant went quiet. He opened a small velvet box with a sparkling diamond ring inside. "Emma," he said, his hands shaking, "you're the love of my life. Will you marry me?" People at other tables pulled out their phones. The waiter stopped moving. Even the kitchen staff peeked out to watch. I looked at the ring, then at Daniel, then at the crowd waiting for my answer. I smiled, and loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear, I said, "Daniel, why would I buy the cow when I'm already getting the milk for free?" The room went completely silent. Daniel's face turned bright red. Someone dropped a fork, and I stood up, grabbed my purse, and walked out, leaving him there on one knee, still holding the ring, and finally realizing what it